Alright, on the bench today is a Pioneer SX535. I'm going to save you the time of going through my normal plug-in initial evaluation type footage. This passes the dim bulb, and if we look at the right channel, we've got half a volt that fluctuates. It'll go down to 0, it'll come back up to half. Left channel seems to be fine. So, besides the cosmetic issues, putting some new lamps in here, need to figure out what is going on with the right channel and why we are getting DC on the speaker terminals. So what I'm going to do is pop this open and then just start kind of probing around on the inside, and let's see if we can find out what the issue is. Alright, so pop the top off of here, and I'm assuming the problem is going to be on the amp board somewhere. Looking around, the lighting's kind of crappy, but I'm not sure if you can see this. See if I can zoom in. But there is either some, this is either glue right here. I think that's glue. Might be maybe, I don't know if that's a leaking cap, but the glue, whatever this is, from this capacitor is maybe corroding the legs of this film cap here. I'm not sure. Prime suspects are always the trim pots, so I'm going to test those. It looks like, if we look at the outputs, there's been some work done. Right? We don't have matching transistors for the outputs. I don't see anything that's burned up here, but sometimes they don't always jump out at me initially. So what I'm going to do is flip this over, and I'm going to look at this trim pot. I'm going to test it and see how it tests, and then look and see what's going on with this capacitor, this film cap. See what's going on with this. This is probably the replacement, I would think. Or it looks like these, maybe these two. I'm not sure. I have to see. I'll have to look at the schematic, see what's going on. But anyway, I'm going to flip this over. You probably didn't even know what I was looking at because I had it zoomed in. I was referring to the outputs and why they're different. Trying to get used to my new camera here. All right, so anyway, I'm going to flip this over, take the bottom off, and start looking at components and let you know what I find. All right, so I pulled the trimmer out, and I just went through this, but I realized I didn't have the camera on, and now I don't. Oh, here it is. All right, so this should be a 100 ohm trimmer going from right to left. I should get 100 ohms, right? So this is saying 105, so that's good. Problem is, if I go from middle to either side, right, this should be, it should change, right, from 0 to 100, and I can't even turn the trimmer. It's frozen. And if I go from, and just for the sake of how this is positioned now, if I go from middle to right, it's 158 ohms. And if I go from middle to left, it's 104 ohms. So that is not correct. I do have 200 ohm trimmers. The legs aren't exactly in the right position, but I can put it in there and not block, right, the little adjustment kind of screw there. So I think I can pop this in there without having to order some new trimmers. And if I have to order new ones, it's all right. but I think I can put this down in there. There we go. And I think it'll work all right. So anyway, I'm gonna kind of wrestle with this, solder this in there, and see what happens. So let me do that real quick and come back. All right, so what, you know, there are a couple different strategies that I use when I'm troubleshooting things. My PC in the garage is still kind of freaking out on me, so getting a service manual where I can actually reference it right now is not happening. But with a board this small, you can actually do a kind of a left side, right side comparison. So what I did was, or where I'm at on this currently, is I'm just kind of probing for voltages, right? So left side's good. So let's look at this green resistor here. All right, I'm getting barely anything. In here I've got my voltages, right? I got a volt and it's dropping because that's the bad channel. In fact, if I turn this one on, right, those are gonna track each other, or they're gonna be close. So as I was kind of poking and prodding and testing everything, I noticed a discrepancy between the diodes on either channel. So if you look at this diode, I'm getting a negative 44 volts. Here I'm getting a negative jumping all over voltage. Right? So this side I'm getting a negative 1. This side I'm getting, right, jumping all over, and it's millivolts. So right now, my kind of the leading suspect to me is probably this diode for right now. But again, without a service manual, this is one of the ways that I have gone through troubleshooting things. So yeah, so I mean, it may not, the diode may be fine, but it's just, you know, kind of going and bouncing from side to side. Notice how there's a difference, right? And across the diode looks to be kind of more significant than any of the other voltages that I've measured, because everything else has been consistent on either side of a resistor. So I've got 32 volts there, I've got 32 volts there, and then across it, that drops to 0.6, this drops to 0.6. So I'm kind of leaning towards this diode being the issue right here. But anyway, so I am gonna get into the schematic. I need to look at it, pull it down once my PC is up and running up here so I can scroll through the pages. I may just pull the diode out, but I am gonna have to look at the service manual and see what kind of diode it is, make sure I have a replacement for that if it is indeed bad. So anyway, just kind of wanted to share that with you as I move through this. I did test all the outputs, and all the outputs seem to be okay. Now anything that I do replace on this side, I will replace on the other side. So I will replace the trim pot. I will replace the diode if this diode is bad, just to kind of have it symmetrical on each side. I'm not going to recap it. I mean, it wouldn't take long to recap it. I'm going to see what transistors are in here. These are 2SA726s. These are problematic transistors, so I'll probably replace those. So I don't know, maybe I will recap it. Anyway, I got this one at a pretty good price. These are pretty decent little receivers. So anyway, that's where I'm at. I've got to actually go away for a little bit today. I've got some other stuff going on, so I'll probably pick this up tomorrow or the next day and kind of let you know where I am. So the amp board has been recapped. I'm gonna do the alignment here once I get the lamps replaced. I did notice the stereo lamp is also out, so I will need to replace that. Looks like somebody, oh no, this screw has a spacer. It's like, man, somebody like took this screw out here. So I just did a lamp replacement on a 737, and similar process, it appears. So these two screws come out, and then this bracket here, what I did on the 737 was I had to flip it once I get it around the dial cord, I'd like flip it up and then I could slide it down. And then this was just kind of stuck on there. Yeah, so this is going to be the same. Actually, it's easier to do it this way because this end of the board has to flex to come out around the tuning potentiometer, or the tuning flywheel. Alright, so I'm going to have to pull the face off, go in and replace the lamps. I don't remember how I did this one on the 737. I think I took this back plate off and then I was able to get in from the side. And then I will need to replace the stereo lamp. Stereo lamp is right here. So I'm going to see if I can do that from the front, pull it out, and then put a new lamp in there. So anyway, that's what I will be doing. DC is still good. Everything seems stable. I did not replace the outputs. I mean, I could, but like I've already replaced everything on this board. All the transistors, all of the capacitors. I tried to clean this and glue up a little bit there so it's not touching the contacts. I did check the tone control board and there are no 726s on that, so I'm not replacing anything on the tone control board. This is the only board I'm working on, unless this gives me a reason to look at another board. So anyway, that's what I'll be doing. When I get all that done, I will come back. Well, I guess this is a little bit different. Oh, I got a stray knob too. I got to throw that in my solution to soak it and get it clean. I think I have to remove this bracket as well. I didn't remove a bracket like this on the 737, but this appears to be holding the bottom of the dial faceplate. So let me pull this out of there. And hopefully now I can, now I can remove it. Alright, so that's an additional step from the 737. This is a little dirty, need to clean that off. Alright, so now I'm going to pop the bulbs out. And again, all this is right, going inside here and pulling all these out and popping LEDs in there. Lamps came in for the stereo beacon and the dial pointer. Tiny bulb, 3 millimeters. I tried a 4 millimeter in there, but it didn't work, so we're going to go with the right size, the proper size. I need to separate the pointer from this chassis here carefully. I don't want to break anything, but it's much easier to work with this kind of a way. And this is very, very fragile. Like this pointer will break off. If you just think about it wrong, the pointer will break off. Okay, so that's out. My soldering iron is warming up. Now, I have a couple of different options here. I could remove this plate, run directly to these two posts, which I may do. What I will have to do if I choose that route, though, is remove some of the tension down on this little protective pad here. And I should be able to cut the wires and then run the other ones through. At least that's what I'm hoping. Worst case, right? Worst case, I'll have to adjust, but I'm going to clip this side though, just in case it doesn't want to come out. I can just solder the new lamp into position right here. So let's pull one of these out. Came out, and that one came out. So that's good. The tricky part will be getting the new one to run in there, and I could remove that, I guess. That's a twisted, this is a twisted twisted cables here, so I guess maybe you weren't actually seeing what I was doing there. Alright, so what I'm going to do, I'm not going to bore you with me moving through this whole process here. So this is going to clip in there like so. I'm going to run these wires through this opening here. I'm going to remove these. In fact, I need to warm up my desoldering tool. And I'm going to run it just how this was run underneath. See if I have enough to go all the way over like so. I should have plenty. So that is going to be the approach. At least that's what I intend the approach to be. So I'm going to click away while I do that. And I'll share any changes to that procedure or lessons learned while I do that. But anyway, I'm going to do that, and I'll come right back. It wasn't too bad. So you see the dial pointer is illuminated again. Now I need to go on to changing the stereo beacon. That might prove to be a little more difficult because I'm not sure if I need to kind of come in from the front. Probably. I don't know that trying to install that on the back side is going to be a good way to try to get it. Now, you know, I removed this before without taking that out, so let's try this. Put this up. Gosh, you gotta be so careful. What I'm doing now is removing the dial plate, and I think it was my intention to do that because these screws are really loose, so I'm pretty confident. I mean, it's been, you know, a couple of days. Couple of projects. And take this down to the far end because this has to flex a little bit. Make sure that doesn't mess with the dial pointer. And so there's the stereo beacon behind. The stereo beacon's right there. I'm going to see if I can pull it out from the front. I'm going to looks like there's some extra wires. I think there are two ways I can do this. A couple of ways I can do this. I can remove this sheath, run this through there and back behind. I can cut these and just shrink, put some shrink tubing on them. All right. My camera somehow moved on me a little bit, so there we go. It's going right back to where I didn't want it. I'm going to remove this plate and kind of see what we have going on here. Oop, lost a screw. Thank goodness for magnetic screwdrivers. Now it looks to me like the beacon is wrapped around these two posts on the bottom. So what I want to do first is I'm going to clip carefully. I want to clip the new lamp into position here and see. Just make sure that it's working. My assumption is the lamp is bad. I mean, I get stereo sound. I get stereo separation, at least to my ears. It's tuned to a station that is a strong station. I mean, the stereo beacon should light up. But I want to test this first just to make sure. And I'm not getting any light. Oh, that's because I'm not on the station anymore. Ah, poop. Poop, poop, poop. I'm not getting a light. Oh, that's no good. And I should be, oh, there it goes. Okay. So I am getting a light. See, you can see it. So light is coming on. Awesome sauce. So the reason why I did that is I think I want to, I'm going to clip these wires, unwrap them from the post behind it, get rid of them, and then run the new lamp in and attach directly to those. I don't see why I would have to go onto the bottom two posts. There could very well be a reason, but I guess I can also see about. I think I may have removed this last time. Did this come out? Oh, this won't come out because the lamps are in position here. I could pop the LEDs out, but like I said, if it's going to illuminate off of those two posts on top, why go to the bottom? They designed it that way for a reason, though. I know, I can hear people already, but I'm all about making this a little bit easier. So I'm going to have to wrestle this out. I think they use some kind of adhesive or glue on these. So I remember these being kind of a bear to get out of this little housing here. And that will be boring to watch. So I'm going to do that and then install it and come back. Stereo lamp has been installed. Stereo beacon has been installed. Let me flip that on and show you. So you can see it lighting up there. I think now it's time to reassemble this. The knobs I forgot about. So they've been soaking for the last couple of days. I'm going to grab those real quick. They're over on my sink. Get rid of this crap. Grab the knobs, clean the faceplate out. I think I cleaned the faceplate the other day. Maybe I need to check. I don't know. I've lost track of what exactly was going on with this. So anyway, I'm going to work on reassembling this, and then I'll come back and kind of shoot a last segment, making sure everything's working. So here's something a little funny regarding the knobs. I think I told you I forgot about them, let them soak for a couple of days. I've never had them come out that clean. With me like scrubbing them, I mean, these just literally sat in some water with a little bit of detergent. I think it was either Palmolive or Dawn or something like that, and no scrubbing, and these were disgusting. These were pretty gross, if I remember correctly. I've had a couple of other receivers I've worked on. Now, I do want to point out one thing. I do have to repair one, right? So the outer knob came off of the plastic inner knob. So what I do when I have to glue these back together is I use super glue. And I apply the glue to the ridge. So if you look at this, there's a ridge running on the top of the cap. So I try to get it to where the glue will only go into the gap in there. I haven't done this for a while. I think I use super glue. I mean, I haven't had to do one of these for probably a year. I've also used like contact cement to kind of get it to sit in there. So I'm going to try some super glue, see if that works. If not, I can change the glue up. But it should hold it well enough. And then what I do is, this was on the function knob, right? So the function knob over here. Because that's used so often, I'm going to put this back on like the treble or bass. Or whichever one it fits. So again, just a little bit of super glue on that ridge. And then get it lined up and kind of hope for the best. So we'll see if this works. Should. And I try to line it up, from the beginning so you're not too sloppy with it. All right, and then I can put it on. Like, I'll put it on the volume. Make sure it goes in all the way. Then give it a pull and a tug, right? And I'm pulling. So if you notice, you can't see it, but I'm already able to just pull. Dang. My camera mount has moved on me for some reason. Oh well, I'll fix this later. But what I'm trying to show you is if I pull on the knob, gosh, this is horrible. If I pull on the knob, the whole, oh no, I lied. Look at that, it came right apart. So I may have to use different glue. Before it just pulled the knob out. Huh. All right, so let me modify my strategy with this knob. Super glue's not going to do it. All right, so let me get my contact cement. That is probably what I've used in the past. Again, it's been a while, I don't know. All right, so I'm going to grab that, come back, glue this together, and finish assembly. Here the 535 is in all of its glory. All the lamps have been replaced, all the switches and pots have been cleaned, stereo bulb has been replaced, indicator lamp has been replaced, face has been cleaned up, that one knob has been glued. Sounds amazing. Again, just the 3 Series Pioneers are, I don't know, I think it was probably the pinnacle. You know, for my personal taste, I think they look the best. They sound the best. They're not quite the cap coupled sound, but they're not the bright like 50 series sound. And again, I listen to a 1050 all the time, and every time I work on one of these older Pioneers, either a cap coupled Pioneer or a 3 Series Pioneer, I'm like, man, this is what I really want to listen to. But anyway, so this is done. This is going to go to, this was actually mine, one that I acquired, so I'm going to see which shop wants it, and if not, I may be forced to keep it. Oh no, right? I can swap it out. I do have some of my own projects I need to recap or work on. Oh, one thing I did want to do is I want to put a little bit of that feed and wax here to kind of clean these up. Dang, I didn't do that, but I'll do that before I get it to the shop. So anyway, as always, if you like what you see, hit like, hit subscribe, and I will catch you in the next video.